views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mission BX, a show that's a collaboration between BronxNet and the Center for Bronx Nonprofits at Hostos Community College. We take you behind the scenes, or in this case, behind the Zoom, with people from all over the Bronx working for different wonderful nonprofits. Today, we're going to visit people from Mercy Center and see the wonderful work they do. So stick around and join us as we visit Mercy Center. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mission BX again. And we're here with representatives of Mercy Center, yet another wonderful Bronx nonprofits that are doing such important work, especially now. And we have Steve Stritch with us, and Alma Osario, and Paula Sorrow. So Steve, I'm going to start with you, and anybody else can fill in. So just in case, I feel like Mercy Center is this wonderful organization that exists on its own, doing great work for the people who they service, but they're not out there in the way that some of the other organizations are out there. It's that you're all really in that community working so hard. So can you tell us a little bit about Mercy Center, how it started, what you're doing?
Sure. So Mercy Center started 30 years ago in a classroom literally down the street from our main office on 145th Street. It was started by one Sister of Mercy, and it grew with the help of the community. And so we've always listened to the community, and we've always done our best to try to respond to the needs of the community. And so we don't just start something to try it. We really listen to what the community needs and try to provide what they need. And then we end up being successful because there's so many people who need the services that we provide. And really, we stay pretty much within the Bronx. That's mostly the South Bronx where we are, is where our participants come from. But we provide them with classes. We do ESOL, we do high school, equivalency. We do all kinds of services in terms of family services, where we help with family skills, classes in parenting, anger management, youth programs. We do after school, Saturday readings, summer camp. We try to hear what the community needs and then provide for it the best that we can. We also are very proud of the fact that we're one of the few offices for new Americans in the Bronx, actually in New York. And so we feel like that's very good for our immigrant services program, where we help our participants, who so many of them are immigrants. I mean, we primarily serve immigrants, so and they come from all over the world. When we first started 30 years ago, it was a lot of Puerto Ricans who lived in the area. Now the neighborhood has changed tremendously, and it was primarily Spanish speakers, in those days. Whereas now, when we do English for speakers of other languages, those other languages include so many others because they come literally from all over the world.
So what other areas are you seeing people come from? I'm curious because everybody has a sort of different read on that depending on where they're located, I think.
Yeah, we do have some that come from Manhattan or Harlem.
What are the countries?
Oh.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to have Alma jump in also, but we are seeing the largest percentage of people right now are Dominican, from Dominican Republic. Still a large percentage of Mexicans, Ecuadorians, Guatemalans, Hondurans, but we are seeing more people also from Yemen. And Alma, what other areas would you say?
We have a crescent and population from African countries, West Africa, and lots of Hondurans. I know you mentioned them, but I think they are one of the most in need populations here that do come and request our services. South Americans in general, yes. A few Argentinians we saw this time around. So we are expanding even in that aspect.
Yeah. And
The
so,
last, I was just going to add, the last time we did we looked at it in terms of number of countries. If you count maybe having one person from one country, we actually had over 50 countries represented in the people that we served.
and how did they find out about you?
I would say our ESOL class is what draws people. That's our largest program, and so people hear about us through, we distribute paper flyers, we put it on social media, we actually are trying to get more out there in terms of being on TV stations. But our number one, we do ask people, how did you hear about us? And the number one answer we get is by word of mouth. So that's really satisfied people who tell their friends and their relatives.
Yeah. So you're doing all this great work, you're completely in the community, and then March happens and COVID happens. And what happened there? What happened at Mercy Center?
So as we were realizing that we were going to need to shut down, we started doing an assessment of what we needed to be able to provide for our staff to continue doing their work remotely. And so we did an assessment of what technological needs we needed, we had, and how we could meet them so that literally all of our staff could continue their work remotely. We spent time with all of the students. Once we made the decision to close, we actually made the decision on a Thursday, but we didn't close officially till Monday night because we wanted to make sure we had time with each class to prepare them for how learning was going to happen beyond, the closing and the remote. And Alma, you could talk about how that actually, happened, not only for the students, but also what the professional development that we had to do for our teachers so that they would be able to teach remotely.
Right. We went, it felt overnight, and we went from, come into class, have your notebooks ready, to where's your phone? Let's get you started with your Gmail account. Let's get you trained to work on Google Classroom. And let's, familiarize you with Zoom and how things are going to evolve. And for students and teachers, as none of us really signed up for this sort of, online teaching or learning. And the community responded really well. They were very flexible and patient because it required a lot of, soft skills that they were in the process of attaining, but at their own speed. And we had to do that in 3 days. But we were happy
doing that. That's a huge difference. You didn't just close the doors. That's incredible that you did that.
Yeah. We went person by person, phone by phone, making sure that if they didn't have a Gmail, they left with one and password, and making sure that they knew how to access some of the technology. And we were learning ourselves which platforms we were going to use. So there was a bit of a, we started with one platform, we moved to another, and trainings for teachers and students just throughout, just to reassure them, it's going to be okay. We'll be in touch with you. And whatever you need in this, very distinct atmosphere, we're still here for you. Phone numbers, emails, just contact us. And we wanted, created this Mercy Center virtually in a way for them. And they left, happy that they could still feel that connection, even if the doors were shut down.
So did any of you ever use Zoom before this all happened?
No, I never heard of Zoom before this happened.
I just had that conversation with somebody and on a Zoom call, and she was having trouble getting in, and there was all kinds of stuff going on. And I said, in March, I didn't know what Zoom was.
Right. I will also add that besides our ESOL classes, our other programs like our family support programs and our youth programs also jumped on to do everything remotely. So we had a lot of phone counseling, checking in with all the families by phone. And then as everyone became more familiar with Zoom, also using WhatsApp and another app called Remind, where we would send out information by group. And then we started we still continue to do some in-person work, and that just developed by happenstance. We were contacted by someone we had worked with before who now worked for a large restaurant chain at Tacombe. And she said, we want to donate meals. We know people are hungry. So we suddenly decided to hand out food. And we asked staff to volunteer, who wanted to volunteer to go back to the building, our building, and distribute food. But everyone pitched in. So we had some staff calling participants, trying to find out who needed. We had to sort of assess who needed it the most, and we would rotate on different days. Different participants would be called to come get meals. And then we started to get donations of groceries besides the food, the meals. So we started handing out groceries. And then we also got opportunities to apply for, and also just freely were given gift cards to distribute to our participants. There were different programs available, different really philanthropic donations of cash gift cards to give out directly to our participants. And actually, as of this week, we've handed out over $100,000 worth of cash in the form of gift and debit cards. And that took a lot of logistical work that everyone had to pitch in for that also. And those are things we hadn't done before, but the need was there. And we tried to seize every opportunity that came along to give food and cash assistance to our participants.
And I have a quick question, and then we're going to have to go to break and then come back. So are you still doing food? Are you still giving out food?
Yes. So as of yesterday, we've distributed 18,780 meals, and we've provided groceries, both groceries and produce for 2,020 families.
So we'll talk more about this offline, Steve, but the Bronx Relief Fund is putting together a sort of spreadsheet information, something about what organizations have been giving out food. Mm-hmm. So, because I think there's some larger organizations that maybe aren't doing, that are not Bronx-based, that aren't doing it. So we're trying to look at who is. So I want to make sure that you're part of that. So we have to quickly break. And then when we come back, I want to know where you are now after all of this hard work and helping so many people. So we'll be right back. So we're back with our wonderful guest from Mercy Center, and we talked about what happened when they closed down. Now let's hear what's going on now. Are people back? Sort of back? What are you doing?
So we actually began registrations, in-person registrations, for the last couple of weeks, and then as of Saturday, the classes actually began. So Alma, do you want to talk about that process since you're directly related?
Sure. So we have in-person interviews, and each participant comes and signs all the paperwork that they need to sign, but they also get a one-on-one training on Zoom and Google Classroom. So we realized that a lot of returning students are coming back with the skills already because they were in summer classes with us or in the previous cycle, but we have a lot of new students too who are now more than ever interested in learning English and improving their communication skills. So they're coming and they're a little bit afraid of the technology. And so were we in March. But now we are all on board, and we've experienced all sorts of technical difficulties, and we experience them with them right here on site. They can see it, they can be reassured, and we tell them, we'll see you on the screen. And I think that helps a lot. Community members just a little afraid of these new things, and it helps that they've been helping their kids, and it's one of the big motivators. They come and they say, I want to help even more, because children are also doing this, and it's like a family process, you know? So we take down the barriers of fear, and we have them practice. They see themselves on TV, because we have it all set up really nicely, and they leave just excited to start classes. And we like that because we also like that, participants are coming here, seeing the center,
Right.
seeing us, and that human aspect of this whole learning online, right?
Yeah.
So we're happy with the process.
Then can I ask Paula to talk about what we're doing in the other programs?
Sure. Most of our other programming is continuing online. So our family support, we're doing counseling through Zoom and through the phone. Our youth programs are a combination. We're doing some online work for our after school, some group activities, enrichment. We're doing online STEM activities, robotics online. But we are doing some one-on-one homework help in person. And so families are signing up for slots for their kids. And they're meeting one-on-one, socially distanced, spread out in our largest program room. And we do a health screening before the kids come in, because we found that with the homework help, especially for the youngest kids, it's just much more efficient and more effective in person for the littlest kids. I will say also then our immigrant services is continuing online, our social services, counseling, and we're doing a lot of workshops. We've been doing a lot of community workshops in response to what's happening. So we did about, 6 or 7 workshops over the whole rent relief program that came out, and that was in a rush. So we'll do group Zoom community workshops. We've been doing a lot of that. So I would say you could say about 75% of what we do is going to continue online, and about 25% in person with socially distanced protocols.
How do you do those classes? How many people are in the classes that are not online?
Well, the ones that are not online, the work we're doing that's in person is really what, like I said, the after school one-on-one tutoring. Our parenting classes at this point are all online. We did offer an option to set up an in-person class, but actually in that group of people, they all opted for the online. We have found it's been very interesting with all our classes and other activities. Doing things online offers a level of flexibility for people that they didn't have before. So their attendance for workshops and some of the other group activities has been higher in some respects, because they don't have to travel, they don't have to rush from another activity, they can even eat their dinner as they're, so that part is is interesting. And we'll have to see how that plays out, in the future.
Yeah, when we have last week we did a workshop on, Steve was there, on anxiety and stress, and we had 70 people. And usually if we have those kind of numbers, I know 3/4 of them, but that's not the case anymore, because people don't have to get on the train to come to the Bronx or drive the car. They hear about it and they just sit down like we're sitting now. So it's very different. So Steve, based on your conversation at that other meeting, I want you to talk about what you did for the staff during this whole thing.
All right. So traditionally we had bi-monthly staff meetings, but we realized if we weren't all going to be together, we needed to communicate more frequently than that. So we went to having staff meetings once a week, regular time, everyone was able to be on. We kept it to an hour, but it was really an hour of information. So there was a lot of exchange about what was happening in all the different areas. We began with a reflection and moment of silence, remembering our participants and participant families and staff families members who were impacted directly by the coronavirus. So we started with that, and then we realized that we were spending so much time with information, but we really wanted to give our staff a chance to come together just to enjoy each other's company, the same way we would having lunch together or gathering for coffee and treats in the morning. So we offered a happy hour. So a weekly happy hour. And that was also a chance for staff to come together and just connect and reconnect and talk about what was going on and the challenges that they're facing without having any, without it being tied directly to their work. We also applied for funding for mindfulness. And so throughout the summer, we were able to do mindfulness sessions with our staff. First thing, it was first thing Wednesday mornings, and we had a great response for that. And we then were able to offer it for our participants as well. And it was a great way to, again, keep us connected, but also respond to, to the needs. And then the other thing was we really were able to get a payroll protection program loan so that we were able to keep our staff, our full staff. And people adapted, I mean, we were still able to keep our babysitters and our cleaners and people on staff who normally couldn't do the work that they normally would do, but would do what we needed them to do, such as helping with all the food distribution, that we have. And particularly now that we do have people in our offices, we're back to cleaning much more than just regular cleaning. Right. There's so much more that goes into it. So we really had, I mean, it's been a tremendous response by our staff. I mean, they're outstanding. They were outstanding to begin with, but I think this just showed really the level that we have. And we always talk about community, and transformation. Community and transformation are, is our byline. But it's not just the community of participants we serve, it's also the community who we are, our staff, and that's what I think has really helped us to get through all this. I mean, we're in it together. And
yeah. That's wonderful and beautifully put.
We also, one other thing I just want to say, just because somebody on that in that meeting also brought it up about the fact that we traditionally in June would have a staff appreciation day where we would go out together and do something fun and have a nice meal. And since we weren't able to do that, we were able to send all of our staff like $100 Amazon gift card to use, to celebrate and relax and enjoy in whatever way worked for them. So we wanted to keep that sense of appreciation out there, especially at this time.
And that was the moment that everybody on that call wanted to work at Mercy Center. So I'm just telling you, if you need staff, you just give it to us, we'll send it out, and all of those people will apply. So what's your biggest concern now going forward? Anybody, all of you?
Well, Alma, you want to talk about the participants a little?
Sure. There are a lot of, issues and understanding the ever-changing needs, and it feels like we're always catching up to what the next thing is. And there's a lot of uncertainty that us as staff and us vis-a-vis the participants have to be really reactive to. We are happy to see a huge, population and new interest and renewed interest in classes. We keep on hearing the same message. We want to be back in the classrooms. We want to be back here. We want to see the teachers. We want to do all these things. So hopefully we can do this soon, but remaining strong and remaining pretty clear in what we want to do, which is to address the needs, keeps us really busy. So we, I guess, look forward for a new direction in which we can bring all of this, seamlessly back into Mercy Center. The big numbers, the new people that didn't have the time to travel, but now they can connect, that sort of thing. So we'll do a lot of logistics, but that's I guess what we're looking for in terms of the future.
Yeah.
I think a concern for the people that we have is most of our families lost income during this whole process, either completely laid off or partially laid off, and they are slowly coming back, but often at reduced hours. And they have huge rent arrears to deal with, and so the financial needs of the families is great, and so we do have that concern, and then it has an impact on just the tension and the anxiety about it all, and the struggle with the children and the schooling. So, I think like everyone in New York, it's going to continue for a while. So those are concerns going forward.
Yeah.
And then we can't forget the financial impact of this on Mercy Center. Right. So our budget is $3.4 million. We don't charge for any class, program, service. Everything that we provide, we have to pay for. And we have to raise the money to do it. So that, of course, is a challenge for us. And we're pretty well balanced in the about a third comes in from, the contracts that we have, the government funding, about a third from foundations and corporations, but then a good third also is from our private donors. Donors and the events that we have. Now, fortunately, we had our first in-person event a couple weeks ago. We had our golf outing, our 5th annual golf outing. and it actually was the best yet, and the most well attended. So we felt like people were happy to be outside, and it was an easy way to social distance. So, and then last night we had a gala committee meeting, and we decided to move our gala to an online, a virtual event on December 8th. So we had that, as well. But I mean, we do depend on those sources of income so that we can continue to provide, the services and the programs and the classes that our participants need.
Yeah.
So don't forget to send us the announcement about December 8th, because we'll blast it out to all the people on our MailChimp. And so I'm glad we're ending on that, so that when people see this, they can see, oh, they need money, maybe. So we're hoping that a lot of funders watch this and hear about all your great work. And that's all we have time for. But thank you all so much. Thank you. There's not just for the work you do, but also for the way you work together. It's such a wonderful model for how organizations can be, and many are. So thank you all.
Thank you. And thank you
for having us.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk
You're
about
welcome.
and share our love for Mercy Center.
That's perfect. Yes.
When taking public transportation, don't touch your phone. Carry hand sanitizer and use it immediately upon leaving the bus or train. Avoid touching your face. If someone is coughing or sneezing, move away. Wash your hands with soap and water as soon as possible. Limit contact with poles. If possible, avoid rush hour. Don't eat or drink on public transportation. Keep your bag off the floor or other surfaces. Avoid directly touching turnstiles. Stay up to date with the latest from your local health department and CDC.
Sorry that's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed this visit to Mercy Center, or at least to the wonderful people working at Mercy Center. And if you missed part of the show or would like to watch it again, just go to bronxnet.tv and look for Mission BX. And please join us on our next journey to a wonderful nonprofit in the Bronx.